Now on Brooklyn News Live, a live look there at traffic conditions right here in Brooklyn as a collision has stopped southbound traffic. We're bringing you the latest that we know right now, plus our continued coverage and monitoring of the war in Iran. The new information we're now learning. Brooklyn News Live, starts right now.
It's time for all the news you need and more. Brooklyn is Live starts right now.
And it is good to be with you. I'm Jackson Mitchell. It is Friday, the 13th, March 13th, 2026. It is good to be with you. Hopefully, our show goes as planned since the date is the date. We do want to start now with some news we are getting in just within the last few moments, and that is some local headlines right here in Brooklyn. There has been a collision stopping all southbound traffic on Highway 49. That's going to be Highway 49 right there at Highway 49B. I'm gonna zoom in here on that map that you see on your screen and kind of show you where we're at right now. So it is now stopped all southbound lanes of traffic, and you see that traffic, it goes back even where many people appear to maybe trying to take a detour there. So traffic pretty far backed up right now, unclear the cause of this collision. This is the information we're getting in right now from the Arkansas Department of Transportation. They say it's affecting all southbound lanes of traffic. So that is the news we're getting out of right here in Brooklyn. We're going to monitor that and bring you updates if we get any. We do want to start with the developments that are continuously coming out of Iran, as it is now day 14 of that war. Again, we'll keep monitoring that feed there on your screen if we get any updates there from iDrive Arkansas. But right now, we want to bring you the latest on the war in Iran as now enters day 14. Starting with some news that we got in a little earlier today. A U.S. KC-135 fueling aircraft crashed in Western Iraq. This is the new news that we're learning just in today. This is now, it was originally four, now it's six, according to Central Command, that were aboard these aircraft, that aircraft, excuse me, and they have now all been confirmed as a fatal crash and all dead now. It's the news we are getting. Now, the cause of the crash still under investigation. They say friendly fire at this point in time, not suspected. We do want to show you the statement coming in from Central Command confirming this news that we are talking about right now. They say, quote, all six crew members aboard a U.S. KC-135 refueling aircraft that went down in Western Iraq are now confirmed deceased. The aircraft was lost while flying over friendly airspace March 12th during Operation Epic Fury. The circumstances of the incident are under investigation. However, the loss of the aircraft was not due to hostile fire or friendly fire. The identities of the service members are being withheld until 24 hours after next kin have been identified. So that is the news we are just getting. And again, moments really just within this morning confirming the deaths of six service members during all of this. We do want to now play Pete Hegseth this morning reacting. Actually, excuse me, here we're gonna get to a second headline that we've been covering right here. Excuse me. Pete Hegseth and Dan Kane, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the General Dan Kane, they both did react to this news and express their sympathies. But again, we're gonna continue to monitor that situation. Of course, it's now day 13 of this U.S. and Israel war with Iran. The new leader, the son of the late Supreme Leader, Dad, was killed in the first attacks by the U.S. and Israel. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, now his son is now in place there. That is Moshtaba Khamenei. He's making his first remarks. Excuse me here on the pronunciation of these names. I'm sorry if I'm getting them wrong. I'm turning to the English pronunciation, and I know that that's probably not even how they say it in Iran. But he's now the new leader. He's making his first remarks Notably, it was delivered by a TV anchor and not himself, and they were written remarks. It wasn't like a pre-recorded video or anything like that. And now it's been some new reporting out, and we'll show you this because it is also interesting. This is new reporting coming into us that when we were putting together the show yesterday. Reporting coming out that maybe this new leader is injured. That's the news we're getting there. Secretary of War or Defense Pete Hegseth confirming some of these reports earlier in a morning press conference this morning. Take a look.
Plants, their defense innovation centers defeated. Iran's leadership is in no better shape. Desperate and hiding, they've gone underground, cowering. That's what rats do. We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. He put out a statement yesterday, a weak one, actually, but there was no voice and there was no video. It was a written statement. He called for unity. Apparently killing tens of thousands of protesters is his kind of unity. Iran has plenty of cameras and plenty of voice recorders. Why a written statement? I think you know why. His father, dead. He's scared, he's injured, he's on the run, and he lacks legitimacy. It's a mess for them. Who's in charge? Iran may not even know. With every passing hour, we know, and we know they know, that the military capabilities of their evil regime are crumbling. They can barely communicate, let alone coordinate. They're confused, and we know it. Our response? We will keep pressing.
So there you go. There's the Secretary of War, Defense Pete Hegseth, responding to all of this, saying he's injured, that he is disfigured. What that means, I mean, like, I mean, you would think, is he missing a whole arm? Like, what does that mean? We don't quite know. But again, these reports now coming into even more light because there had been suggestions, because ever since he was put into place as the new Supreme Leader, there was no sign of him, and the public has not seen him in any way. And you also see Secretary of Defense there, Pete Hegseth, noting that these Iranian leaders are now hiding underground. Again, we talked about this, reports indicating that he could have been injured, and maybe that goes to why a TV news anchor on Iranian state TV delivered the remarks. Now, Iran, to bring in that aspect of things, they've claimed he is, quote, safe and sound, but there's also been some reports that he was lightly injured. He has not appeared publicly since the February 28th attacks. So we do have a piece of that statement that we are able to show you here, and we want to read it. This is just it was multiple paragraphs long, but within this statement, he says, quote, "The blood of our martyrs will not be forgotten, and the Islamic Republic will avenge the blood that has been shed." So take it as you will. What that means, that is a great question. So of course, another just of the many aspects of this story that we are following. We are also following new reports. This one that we're going to show you here, coming from NBC News, that Iran, a group related to Iran, an Iran-linked hacker group, a Handala team, now claiming responsibility for this story that you see there right there on your screen, for a cyber attack on Stryker, which is a Michigan based medical tech company. Now, the attack disrupted Stryker's Microsoft environment, wiping some employees' devices and causing significant disruptions. Take a look at this article coming in from NBC News down the right side of your screen. Quote, "Since the war started, some established hacker groups sympathetic to Iranian leadership have claimed minor attacks, but most have been regulated, I believe that says relegated, excuse me, to briefly altering the appearance of a website, and none have appeared to have had major impacts. Some tech cybersecurity companies, including Google and the email cybersecurity company Proofpoint, have told NBC News that they have largely seen Iran hackers conducting espionage related to the war." The story goes on to say, but that appears to have changed Wednesday with what appears to have been a different type of attack. that also deleted information from devices. Now, a Striker employee coming out saying that it even affected, they remained anonymous because they weren't supposed to be speaking on this to the media, but they say that their phones were affected and their work issued phones stopped working, grinding work and communications with colleagues to a standstill. So now NBC News out with that report, something that we are going to continue monitoring. Okay. Another aspect of this, I want to turn to this. This is gas prices. Something to talk about when we just anything about this war, something to talk about is gas prices, where things stand there. So that's where we want to get you to right now, where things stand there. We might be able to get it to you. Here we go. Take a look at Arkansas gas prices right this moment. The national average continuing to rise. Yesterday's Arkansas average, I noted that was about 314. I mean 311, excuse me. Now it is 314. The national average keeps rising as oil barrels. At first, they appear to be going down, but now as the drama continues out of the Strait of Hormuz, it looks like it's still going up. Crude oil right now about $100 a barrel compared to about the 60 it was before the U.S. and Israel, excuse me, began this war. So Arkansas's average right now 314. How long this is going to go on is an excellent question. So we will continue to follow that. This comes as we are also getting a new reporting from the Washington Journal on all of this, now coming out with this report saying oil markets are bracing for lasting turmoil in the Gulf. Of course, the main place where the U.S. transports its oil, and the main place where a lot of countries get their oil. So of course, just one of the many aspects of it, I kept saying here that we are going to try to follow, and we've been bringing you daily updates on where fuel prices stand. So we'll keep up on that, and 314 is what we're looking at right now, and we will follow that as we get more. Okay, here. Just one moment before we get to our next story here. We do want to provide an update here on that ramming incident out of Michigan. We are learning new details there in a press conference held last night, and then Governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, reacting this morning. We're going to play pieces from that press conference yesterday. One of the pieces of new information that we are learning, and we'll kind of summarize what occurred here. We were on the air less than an hour, I think, after this event occurred, but a man drove a vehicle into Temple, Israel in West Bloomfield, Michigan. It's a suburb of northern Detroit. During the afternoon, then he exchanged gunfire with security guards and was shot dead at the scene. One security guard was injured by the vehicle, but at least at this point, he is expected to recover. Now, this was also a school. About 140 children were inside the synagogue's preschool at the time, and none were harmed. Authorities later found explosives in the suspect's vehicle, according to multiple sources. Police, the FBI, and bomb squads all responded, and at this point in time, the motive remains unclear. That suspect's name by the Department of Homeland Security identified the perpetrator as Ayman Mohammed Hazali, 41, who is originally from Lebanon but became a naturalized U.S. citizen back in 2016. Here is a piece from that press conference held yesterday from the sheriff and other officials that spoke at that press conference. Take a look here.
Just today work together. We work together all the time. Our state, our federal, and local partners. Number one. Number two, we train. In our world, preparation is important. We hope and pray it never happens, but that's not a strategy. Preparation is. So the head of security was taken to the hospital. He got knocked down by the car when it breached the building, and we've had 30 law enforcement officers taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. So a lot of our folks from my SWAT team and other agencies are still in treatment because that building became engulfed.
Temple security officers engaged the individual and neutralized the threat.
I can confirm that we are leading the investigation right now as a targeted act of violence against the Jewish community.
As the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Detroit, I'd love to say I'm shocked or I'm surprised, but I'm not. This is a tough time. It's a tough time, but we will get through this. We'll get through this together. We'll get through this stronger.
Alrighty there, so we were on the air yesterday as this was all ongoing and things were coming out and we were covering this. Again, at this point in time, the motive remaining unclear as officials continue that investigation. The governor of Michigan this morning reacting, calling this an act of anti-Semitism. Of course, that also unconfirmed at this point in time. It also comes at a time, of course, we were just covering it before this story, a conflict in the Middle East continuing, and there is reports from the Washington Post who says that his family was killed in an attack by Israel on Lebanon. Now, that report is only from the Washington Post, from what we were able to research here, so of course, not many sources confirming it, but we did want to bring you that aspect of things. Yesterday, another story that broke right here while we were on the air. The Old Dominion University shooter out of Norfolk, Virginia, now identified and confirmed to have had past ISIS-related convention. Mohammed Baylor Jallo, a former Army National Guard member with a past terror conviction, killed one person and injured two others at Old Dominion University before being subdued by a student and dying. The shooting is being investigated at this point in time as an act of terrorism. Jallo is a naturalized citizen from Sierra Leone and had previously attempted to join the Islamic State and acquire a gun for a murder plot. Take a look. This is what officials said yesterday during a press conference.
I'd like to acknowledge the students who showed extreme bravery and courage by containing the containing the shooter and stopping further loss of life. The FBI is now the lead investigative agency investigating this as an act of terrorism. The shooter has been identified as Mohammed Baylor Jallo. In 2016, Jallo was arrested and pled guilty for attempting to provide material support to ISIL, now known as ISIS.
Okay. Since there were ROTC students involved, is there any reason to believe that they were targeted?
Well, I believe that at this time we have to take all the information that we will receive from the victims. So I don't want to make any preemptive judgments or anything to this at this time exactly. Keep in mind we're going to look at forensic information, anything that he may have had interest specifically for any targets. And because I don't have that yet, I can't confirm that at this time.
Okay, so that was yesterday for the FBI. They're providing an update on this investigation into the shooting at the Old Dominion University. It is located in Norfolk, Virginia. It canceled classes, have been suspended operations after a shooting incident. Now, the university's president expects gratitude for the emergency response and emphasized the safety of the campus community. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives and Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger are both providing support on all of this. We are going to sneak in a quick break. When we come back, moments ago, Vice President J.D. Vance speaking at an event in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and taking questions from the press. We'll have that when we come back. Alrighty, just moments ago, Vice President JD Vance held the event in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. He took questions from reporters, and that's the portion of his remarks that we are going to air. We're going to air just a piece of it. So here we go. This is again in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. JD Vance had an event there on kind of this affordability tour that the president and the VP have been on. Take a look.
Resulted in Operation Charlotte's Web. Senator Tom Tillis has asked a lot from the Department of Homeland Security about what happened with Operation Charlotte's Web. He said his questions are unanswered by DHS, and one of those questions is if American citizens were arrested during Operation Charlotte's Web. I was wondering if you could answer that today.
Well, look, Operation Charlotte's Web is fundamentally an operation to try to make our country safe by getting violent criminals off the streets of the United States of America. Now, I was not aware that Tom Tillis, who's a friend of mine, he and I have had our disagreements, but Tom Tillis and I know each other. I'll go back and offer to speak with Tom about this. I didn't know that he said his questions had been unanswered by DHS. Now, that may be because he asked those questions a week ago and they haven't had time to answer them. You may have seen we've had a little bit of turnover in the Department of Homeland Security. But what I do promise Tom is that the new leadership at DHS is going to get him a response to his questions, but we're going to keep on using the Department of Homeland Security to do the very simple thing of making the homeland more secure. That's why it exists, and we're going to keep on doing that.
Hi, Mr. Vice President. Bill Barrow with the Associated Press. What did you advise the president initially as he considered his actions in Iran, and what are you urging him to do now, especially with Americans seeing higher prices at the pump and some of the fallout from that across the economy? Do you express any concerns like those you've expressed in the past on the possibility of these extended wars?
Well, Bill, I appreciate the question. I know you guys have to ask it, but imagine the situation. We're in the Situation Room where you can't even take your iPod in there, or your AirPods, I guess what they're called. You can't take your iPhone in there. You can't take anything in there because it is the most classified space anywhere in the world. And I sit there with Pete Hegseth and General Kane and Marco Rubio and the entire White House team, and the president and I and the entire senior team are talking about the options and about what we need to do and about how we must best protect the American people. I hate to disappoint you, but I'm not going to show up here and in front of God and everybody else tell you exactly what I said in that classified room, partially because I don't want to go to prison, and partially because I think it's important for the President of the United States to be able to talk to his advisors without those advisors running their mouth to the American media. Thank you all. Now that said, one thing I can promise you is that Chris Wright, our great Secretary of Energy, and Scott Bessent, our Secretary of the Treasury, have been running the administration's response to the economic element of this. Because we know, obviously, when the president takes action to make sure the American people are safe, we've got to do everything that we can to deal with the consequences of that economically. And it's not just oil. There's a whole host of things that we're focused on in the administration to try to ensure that we do the right thing by the American people. What the president has said very clearly is that he does not like higher oil prices, and neither do I, but he also believes that we're going to make the American people safer and that we're going to bring those prices at the pump back down to the levels they need to be for the American people. Now, here's the interesting thing. All this conversation happens where Joe Biden left us in a terrible situation, and the reason why gas prices are where they are today is because of Donald Trump's work to get them lower, because in the Biden administration, they were crazy high. The gas prices we're seeing today are nothing like what we saw at the peak of the Biden administration because the president has set us up for energy dominance. And one of the lessons we all have to take away, frankly, every time we get involved in anything overseas, whether it's in the Middle East or anywhere else, the thing we got to take away from it is energy dominance and energy independence. Rely on our own people, rely on our own energy.
Thank you. I'm Dina with CBS 17 right over in Raleigh. Eastern North Carolina, Western North Carolina, two communities that have been really, really impacted by disasters.
Sure.
Hurricanes over in Eastern North Carolina, they happened a decade ago. Western North Carolina still dealing with Hurricane Helene recovery. We heard from Governor Josh Stein several times that North Carolina has only gotten a fraction of what other states have gotten in federal funding for recovery for both communities. Can you talk a little bit about what your administration is doing to help the people that are still out of their houses, still not having businesses the same?
Yeah. So one of the things I love about Michael Whatley is, look, he obviously is a Republican. He's committed to the conservative agenda. He's a great guy, and obviously I'm aligned with him politically, but he's not afraid to say to me or to the President of the United States or anybody else, we've got to get these resources out faster to protect the people of North Carolina. So I actually, before you asked that question, I heard that from Michael Whatley, and I actually talked to the Secretary of the Treasury because I knew Michael was going to ask me about it again when I saw him here today. The simple fact is we have made this a priority. We are going to get the resources to the people of North Carolina that are necessary. We recognize that frankly, that we needed the new leadership to hasten that delivery of resources to the people of North Carolina. A lot of people in the media have said that, the reason why we made a change at DHS is because the Trump administration is backing off of its illegal immigration enforcement policy. That couldn't be further from the truth. The reason that we're making this change is because Kristi Noem has a great opportunity to serve in this new Shield of the Americas position. I think she's going to do a great job. And on the other hand, we think it's useful to have somebody come in and focus on some of this disaster relief and recovery stuff, and that's exactly what we're going to do. But I appreciate Michael bringing that to my attention, and I appreciate all the great people that represent North Carolina, even many Republicans, okay, who you might think, just because they're politically aligned, trust me, to all the people, I want them to know that even, maybe especially the people who are politically aligned, are more willing to be independent and more willing to tell us we got to quicken those resources to the people of North Carolina. I admire them for their courage, and it's going to mean better results for the people in this district. Thank you. Why don't we take one more question?
Mr. Vice President, Preston Mizell with Fox News Digital. I want to ask you real quick, you're leading the anti-fraud task force. I wanted to get a quick update on that, maybe some of the findings that you've found in Minnesota, but also you've mentioned before that you're interested in targeting other states as part of that task force. Are there other states that you've looked at, or that you may have flagged for potential fraud?
Well, we know there's a lot of fraud in California, and we're trying to get to the bottom of exactly what it looks like. And what we've done in the Trump administration, and the president has really empowered us to do this, is to take the first national look at the way the American people have been defrauded over many, many years. And I'll give you a few very concrete examples. So in the state of Minnesota, you asked about Minnesota. We think that there's probably been $19 billion at least of fraud just committed in Minneapolis and the surrounding areas. Let me give you an example of this, because it's not just the American people being defrauded. It's not just your tax dollars that are being stolen out of your wallet and given to fraudsters. It's the fact that the services we need to deliver to needy people are not getting delivered because they're going to fraudsters. So, for example, there's a program that we have, and I believe it's under Medicaid, where we try to help kids who have, autism, Asperger's, and so forth. Sometimes they need a little extra help. Sometimes they need somebody to sit with them after school. Sometimes they need somebody to provide transportation to certain places. And we have a program within Medicaid to ensure that these needy kids get the resources that they need. And it's one of the things, by the way, I love about the United States of America. We want everybody to work hard. We want everybody to play by the rules, but if we've got a needy kid in our community, we're not going to let that person fall down on their own. All Americans are going to lift that kid up together. That's an amazing thing about our country. But you know what was happening for this program that was meant to help needy kids is you would have Somali fraudsters, many of them illegal immigrants, who would go and say that they had an autistic...
Vice President J.D. Vance fielding questions from members of the press there in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, just moments ago. I'll keep with that and bring you updates as the Vice President and the President continue kind of this affordability rallies ahead of the midterm. So we're going to continue to follow that and bring updates on that. We're also going to continue to follow right now Beirut, Lebanon, where Israel is continuing its strikes there. We'll bring you updates if we see any from either this shot or this shot that we have coming in from Tel Aviv there. So we will monitor both of those. Doing a turn right now to some more news that we are following, and that is this new reporting from the Hollywood Reporter, which now says the FBI and UFC are going to partner up for a training event. Take a look at what this article says here. So you see their Cash Patel and the UFC Dana White. Take a look what this reporting now out is suggesting, just those two paragraphs there. It says, quote, the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Mixed Martial Arts Promotion UFC said Thursday that UFC fighters will travel to the FBI Special Agent Academy in Quantico, Virginia this weekend to train FBI agents in training, as well as senior FBI staff around the world. The Federal Law Enforcement Agency and the MMA company say that the athletes and the UFC matchmaker Mick Manor, quote, will provide insight into how they train for competition, as well as demonstrate specific techniques rather, and tactics, offering a unique perspective to the students as they prepare to enter the field office. So there we go. Some new partnerships coming in from the UFC and FBI. So this article also noting that this comes ahead of the June frontline UFC fight that is planned. That June UFC fight planned to celebrate America's 250th birthday. I want to get this right here because they now say TKO Group Holdings, who is the parent company of UFC, now say they plan to lose $30 million, but that the benefits outweigh that. And so an interesting take there, and something we are monitoring ahead of America's 250th birthday there. So that new reporting in from the Hollywood Reporter about UFC fighters set to train with FBI agents, all as a new initiative. Another quick break for us right here on Brooklyn News Live. When we come back, Jim Clyburn announcing his run for his 18th term in Congress. You heard me right there. So we're going to cover that as many Democrats call for term limits, younger Democrats within the party call for some term limits. He defies Nancy Pelosi. We'll just get into that in just a few moments. And Jonesboro, the Jonesboro Economical Transportation, JET, the public transit here in Jonesboro, they're in Jonesboro rather, changing some things around. Now going to rebrand itself. What that rebranding is all about when we come back. Hey guys, we've got breaking news right now. So a judge now saying that Powell cannot be probed here. This is the attorney out of D.C. for the federal government, Janine Pirro, now remarking on this and taking questions. We want to play this for you.
Violated? Merely on suspicion the law is being violated? Or because it wants assurance that the law is not being violated. In fact, the court says a grand jury may act on tips and rumors. Right here are the cases and the citations from the highest court in the land. And yet this judge is shockingly requiring the government to show something akin to probable cause, and those are his words, probable cause, in order to justify the issuance of a grand jury subpoena. Folks, probable cause is not and never has been the standard that prosecutors in this country need in order to go into a grand jury. This is not and has never been the law of the land. And so this decision today by Judge Boasberg runs directly afoul of our highest court's admonition that courts and judges must not and cannot saddle grand juries with mini trials and preliminary showings that impede a prosecutor's investigation and thus frustrate the public's interest in the fair and expeditious administration of justice. No one, folks, is above the law. And this outrageous decision will be appealed by the United States Department of Justice. Go ahead, sir.
Do you think that your office's failure to attempt to prosecute 6 members of Congress factored into?
I'm not here to talk about 6 members of Congress. I'm here to talk about the fact that the grand jury has a job. They look at evidence. They decide whether they want to indict. If they don't indict, so be it. And if you want to know what the judge thinks, go ask him. Next question.
Can I get your reaction to statements from Senator Tom Tillis, who you know has been blocking and vowed to continue blocking?
You know, honestly, I don't know and I don't care, and I'll tell you why. I am in a legal lane. All of the rest is white noise. I don't care what they say. I have a job. I have the ability to go into a grand jury. There are questions that the American public and people in D.C. are entitled to know where $1 billion has gone. And that's my focus.
But he is asking for an assurance that the investigation into Powell has ended it. Are you willing to concede?
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah,
I just said that this decision will be appealed by the United States Department of Justice. That's the answer to your question.
What crimes exactly are you investigating?
We're looking at 1001, and we're also looking at a statute having to do with fraud, but it's up to the grand jury to make that decision. We're $1 billion over in cost overruns. Are you kidding? $1 billion? We're not talking about huge buildings here. Go ahead.
Kevin Warsh is Trump's pick, though, President Trump.
I don't even know who he is.
So isn't this just essentially holding up President Trump's pick or any forthcoming picks since Senator Tillis said he will not vote?
Okay. I don't know how to explain this, but I'm going to try. I've been a prosecutor, a judge, a DA, and now a United States attorney for well over 3 decades. Politics is not the lane I'm in right now. And I have a charge and an oath to the Constitution. And my job is to present evidence, and I can do so when I can merely on the suspicion that the law is being violated, or even just because I want assurance that it's not. I'm not in those lanes. And I will not allow myself or my staff to be in those lanes. And that's why we brought crime down in this jurisdiction. We are focused on the law. We're focused on the people of the district. We are not focused on politics. Go ahead.
Judge Boasberg, in his opinion, said that you, quote, promptly complied, end quote, with President Trump's apparent direction to prosecute Powell. Can you just state for the public record, how did you have the idea or, the impetus to start this inquiry?
First of all, he's totally wrong in his assessment of the dates, and that's why we're doing a motion to reconsider, because he got his dates wrong. And as far as I'm concerned, this was something that was of public interest. It was something that the Senate Banking Committee wanted information on, and it is something within my jurisdiction and my charge. But I want to tell you a story. When I was a young prosecutor, I was one of the first people to investigate child abuse as a crime. Everyone thought it was a social problem and not a criminal justice problem. The kids are better off with their parents. There was an organization, and that organization didn't have a very good reputation. And it was one of the societies that was out there trying to prevent cruelty to children. And I set up a relationship where they would bring me cases. And people were outraged that I would deal with this organization. And my answer to them 30, 40 years ago, I'll deal with the devil. I'll take a case from the devil if you can give me information that will lead me to possibly find a crime. It doesn't matter where a case comes from. It doesn't matter. I can have a suspicion. I can read the newspaper. I can just want to make sure he didn't commit a crime. So don't make the judge is wrong on his dates. He is wrong. That's why we're not only appealing, we're making a motion to reconsider. Okay, I want to say one more thing, and I think it's important that you guys hear this from me. There's another way of looking at this, and that is that it's not just the public being fed up with this stuff. It's the fact that what we've got are grand jurors who are supposed to hear this, and they haven't been able to hear any of this because someone has decided that they're not entitled to hear this. Can you take this? Thanks. This process has been arbitrarily undermined by an activist judge. We have a process. We have been asking for information about a matter that has raised questions in many people's minds. Senate banking, the public, the papers, it doesn't matter. So give me the information so I can assess it. Give me the information so the grand jury, comprised of regular Americans, can say, there's nothing here. And I'll accept it the way I accept other cases. Okay? Whatever it is, we'll abide by it. What we don't accept is a judge standing in front of the door of a grand jury blocking our access, a role that has never been envisioned, a role that will now be used by other defense attorneys around the country, who's going to come in with a client and say, oh, my client is being targeted, don't you dare go in the grand jury. A judge says, yes, the guy's bathed and washed in immunity, and you can't go after him. The process should have been allowed to run its course, and it wasn't. And shame on them. Oh, cut it out. Do you know how many convictions we've got? Cut it out. You're in one lane. We have cleaned up this city. Oh, yeah, historic, really? I'll tell you what's historic. What's historic is that I prosecute everything other than 10% of the cases, where the United States attorney before me didn't prosecute 67% of the cases. That's what's historic. I'm willing to take a not guilty. I'm willing to take a no true bill, because I'll take all the crimes and put them in. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the time we have.
Alrighty, so we wanted to bring you that right as we were about to bring you the headline. We got two big breaking news headlines that we were just about to bring you, and then that press conference came about. Now we're learning some more news here, so we want to bring you what was this about, because you kind of jumped right into that press conference there. So essentially, just moments ago, a federal judge threw out, or kind of got ready to quash the subpoenas towards Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. Really, in summary, saying it was part of the pressure campaign against Powell. I want to read a direct quote here coming from this ruling from Judge Boasberg, who says, quote, this was, again, this saying this was part of, quote, targeting a disfavored official, unquote. So that was, again, a quote just coming in from the court saying there's no credible reason and that it was, again, targeting a disfavored politician, a political opponent, essentially someone who you disagree with, is what that judge was essentially saying. So that news just coming into us really within the last few moments. You just heard there that was on the opposing side, the person who's bringing some of these subpoenas, the attorney for the District of Columbia, Janine Pirro, saying that the U.S. government was in plan to appeal this as soon as possible, and going against the judge ruling, saying that there are things that this was literally wrong about the ruling. As that was going on, I got some video for you, because the reason what was alleged to have been the subpoenas were for the $1 million renovation that the central bank, the Federal Reserve, is going through right now. President Trump toured the Federal Reserve building back in 2025, back in July. I believe we were actually on the air for this, in this awkward moment between the president and Jerome Powell. Take a look here. Should play any moment.
I wanted to see it, the overruns of the expenses, wanted to figure out why.
So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
It just came out.
Arno said it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2. This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the market renovation. You just added,
our entire capital.
and you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years later.
It's part of the overall.
It's
So,
not new.
so we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use, but no, we don't. We expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while when we're not under too much danger. So, any questions?
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire them.
Alrighty there, that awkward moment you saw there, then that answer, this was back in July 2025. We wanted to show you this because it did have a little bit to do with the funding of this building, and that is why, what was believed to be the reason that Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell was being subpoenaed there. So the subpoenas, according to the judge, are part of a pressure campaign on Powell. We will bring you the latest on that if we get any more on that headline. If there is anything more from there, we will bring that to you. We also wanted to bring you this headline coming into us literally within the last few moments. We wanted to bring it to you, but then we jumped to that press conference. This is coming in from the Associated Press, now saying the U.S. military, and excuse me here, I'm going to read this report off my phone, saying the U.S. military is sending roughly 2,500 Marines and at least one extra warship to the Middle East. This is according to an AP source who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive military plans. While the development is a major increase of troops to the region, it does not necessarily indicate that a ground operation is imminent or will take place at all. So quickly there, that report coming out that there are going to be some more on the ground officials, on the ground militia sent but the AP quickly pointing out that that does not mean a ground operation is going to immediately begin. Okay, we want to turn to some other news we are following on this day. Jim Clyburn, the Democrat from South Carolina in the House of Representatives, now saying he plans to run for an 18th term in Congress. U.S. Representative Jim Clyburn announcing his candidacy. So, excuse me here, this is actually for 19th term. Excuse me, I thought it was 18th, 19th term in Congress in the U.S. House of Representatives, emphasizing his commitment to pursuing a, quote, more perfect union, despite concerns about his age. Clyburn, who will turn 86 in July, believes he is well equipped to continue his work. Now, we're going to play a piece of his speech that he gave announcing his run. During that, he highlighted the advantages of his seniority, including his position as the longest-serving Democrat on the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development. Now, if this goes on, he will defy both Nancy Pelosi and Reps Steny Hoyer of Maryland. Rep Pelosi, 85, Rep Hoyer, 86. Now both retiring this term. I want to play you a video from that announcement that Jim Clyburn gave. Take a look. Here we go. Should play now.
Today, I'm going to answer a question that is always asked. What is there unfinished, or what more you need to do? Well, it's in the preamble of our Constitution. We exist in pursuit of a more perfect union. There's nobody here today who thinks that this country is perfect. It is not a perfect country. But I don't think there's anybody here today who believes that we should give up on that pursuit of perfection. And I'm here today to say I do believe that I'm very well equipped and healthy enough to move into the next term, trying to do the things that are necessary to continue that pursuit of perfection. And so I will run a very vigorous campaign. I know that in a few months I'm going to celebrate the 47th anniversary of my 39th birthday. Adds up to 86 years. But if I were not up to it, I would not do it. But in response, I do some extensive surveying, some intense consultations with my 3 daughters. They finally got to a unanimous opinion that I should be here today and make this announcement.
Okay, so again, as we said a moment ago, he defies both Nancy Pelosi, who's 85, and Rep. Steny Hoyer, who's 86. He's a Maryland. Both of them are now retiring. So we'll see what this 19 term in Congress does. But he answers that question. I mean, what is there left to do after? Have you succeeded in the things that you wanted to do? Now as you're entering your 19th term in Congress, which if he wins this election, 19 times 2. I'm not good at quick math on the air here. Get my calculator out. I know some of you guys are probably already have done it. One moment. 38 years in Congress, so almost 4 decades in Congress is what he would have served, because congressional terms or House of Representatives terms are about 2 years. So he would be up for election in the November midterms, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, also, the Jonesboro mayor during the State of the City held about last week, I believe, or earlier this week maybe, announcing his rebrand for the public transit system right here or there in Jonesboro from Jet to Go Joe. I want to play you a piece of this kind of promotional video that was posted to YouTube. Here is that video. Again, this was a video posted to YouTube, a promotional video talking a little about this.
We're excited to introduce Jonesboro's new public transit system, GoJo, short for Go Jonesboro. Formerly known as JET, this rebrand will include expanded trolley-style buses and new routes connecting Arkansas State University and downtown. GoJo will also introduce upgraded shelters featuring screens showing arrival and departure times, and a new app allowing riders to track buses and plan trips in real time.
Alrighty there, so GoJo, the new will have an app so you can track things. Something that I can tell you, I've heard a lot of people from Jet saying that because they know when the bus is supposed to come, but then they're just sitting at the stop. Now there's going to be a system where you can actually track them from your phone, and I actually saw that screen on that bus stop that appeared to show maybe possibly the location of that bus there. So when it comes to cost, the TripSpark contract for the routing software and the Rider app is about over $1.3 million, while new bus shelters and vehicles are also going to be a part of this upgrade. Those prices have not all been put out to the public just yet. So from Jet to GoJo, we'll see how that goes. Okay, want to take you right now to a look. Let's actually do this. So we're going to take you a look right now. This is traffic right now where we're watching that wreck right as we came on the air. Looks like things are okay now. Traffic back to normal. So now we want to get you to your forecast. Give us just a moment here because I do want to take you outside or take you to that RDOT camera we watch like every day. Outside right now, about to be 3 o'clock, so school traffic is picking up here. Let me get this ready to put on your screen. School traffic getting ready to pick up. You can see the people there on the side of the road waiting to turn onto School Street so that they are able to pick up their children from school. Okay, right now, look at your forecast. Okay, so we're gonna looking in. Okay, one moment here. Give me just 1 second. And then, so again, a live look there in Brookland right now. I want to take you to a look at your forecast. And it looks like this might have been the forecast from yesterday. So let's get you the forecast for today. Here we go. Okay, so tonight, as we overnight lows looking at about 44. It actually feels pretty good if you step outside. Saturday, a high of 73 and a low of 58. By Sunday, high of 73, low of 28. A possibility of some severe thunderstorms, some severe weather could come in late night showers on Sunday. So we're going to watch for that. Stick to us and follow those social media pages that have been scrolling there at the bottom of your screen in our website, brooklandnews.com. For all of that information, we will bring you the latest updates on that stuff as soon as we get it. And if there is any more information on this possibility of severe weather, so far what I'm seeing, we're in about a level 2 out of 5. So doesn't mean things could not change coming up in the next few days. Of course, that's how kind of weather works. Things change quickly here. That is going to wrap things up for us, though, on this Friday. Remember, you can join us weekdays, 3 p.m., same place, same time. Thank you for watching. We're back here on Monday, 2 p.m.